Welcome back to Noise Avocation Podcast, episode 66. I don't really have anything too critical to get into or no special news, none of that stuff.
Nope.
Jeremy doesn't have Suzanne Summers' boobs to talk about this time around. You already got it out there.
It's over with.
So we'll just kind of jump right into things. A friend of ours, Nick Hartman, who is an artist out of Grand Rapids. He's from our hometown and was arguably the best skater here when we were growing up, and is just a generally cool dude. He was in, we actually forgot to talk about 138.
Yeah, and you did a Misfits tribute band.
Yeah, he was in a Misfits tribute band for a while around here that used to play a show on Halloween and whatnot, and just a generally interesting, cool guy with a great art style and all-around nice person in general. So we brought him on the show just to interview him about his art and film curating, making movies, horror movies, all that sort of
Black
thing.
metal.
Yeah. So without anything else to really talk about, we'll just kind of really jump right into the interview.
Enjoy.
We have Nick Hartman here from Chapel of Ghouls, you may know him by. So thanks for jumping on the show, man. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you just got done with an art show over the weekend. How did that go for you?
I did, yeah. I had one this past Saturday on the 21st of October. It was good. It was a collection of over 2 years of work. I titled the show Tormented, and it was just kind of really based off, and I'm sure you guys know, and that's listening to this interview knows that I'm very vocal about mental health, depression, anxiety. So the whole show is kind of capturing those feelings of darkness, despair. But, it's kind of hard to get people out to a lot of these things around October. Like, October's my fucking month. I love it. But, the weekend kind of before Halloween, people are going out partying. And I don't think a lot of people want to look at art as much. But it was still well attended. Had a good time. Got to have a fucking fog machine in there. Played some music. And, just hung up my art and tried being vulnerable with it.
Yeah, I seen some of the guys from Part-Time Records posting about it and stuff, because I did a record show in, I think it was May, in Kalamazoo at Bell's Brewery, and Jeremy came down with me, and we got to meet those guys, and they were really cool, and I've stayed in contact with them over Instagram and stuff.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, they're fantastic. They reached out to me maybe 6 months ago to do a commission for them. So been following each other for a while now. Super, super nice.
Yeah, was that one of the, I seen a few paintings that you did inside of, I think one was a brewery, and I don't know if I seen the one for part-time or not.
Yeah, he never really released it. I think he just put on some t-shirts, a couple of stickers. To my understanding, he wanted to donate some of the income to a mental health charity, but I don't even know if he ever released it. But yeah, it's out there somewhere. I'm just kind of waiting on him.
Right on. I seen one that you did that led downstairs to a staircase or something like that, and it was one of your ghouls that stretched along the stairs, and that one was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I saw that. That shit was sick as fuck.
Thanks for checking it. Yeah, it was at Broadleaf Brewing, which is another brewery that's been really supportive of my work. It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, we get a lot of people, because I have those 2 records that I got from you that had corpse paint on them. I have them hung up in the record store.
Yes.
And I get a lot of people that pointed out that are like, oh, this is really cool, that's funny. And then you get some old guys that are like, oh my God, who did that to Jim Reeves? And
fucking assholes.
Yes. I love it.
I'm like, what else are you gonna do with a Jim Reeves record? And then my kid actually, when he seen those, he painted up a Mac Davis all with corpse paint, and I got that hung in the record store too.
Hell yeah.
And then we had my partner at the record store runs a free Comic-Con type of thing called ThunderCon at Art in the Loft. And we took a bunch of junk records, records themselves, covers, everything over there, and brought a bunch of paint. And that stole the whole show. Everybody was painting faces on records and stuff. And but it was you that kind of brought on that idea.
Oh, hell yeah. That's super fun. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you both now have really been into black metal music my whole entire life.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just I thought, yeah, I mean, black metal's cheesy as fuck, let's be honest, but it's so good and it's like this
It's good cheese.
transformative experience for me. And the whole corpse paint thing, I love it. I love corpse paint and just putting on those records and like putting on, like just normal day folk. It's just funny to me.
Yeah, I like it. I think it was a good touch to like the Andrews. I think it was the Andrews Sisters was the other record that I got from you.
Yes,
It's
yep.
like the Fresh and Christian Free, I think it was, or something like that. Yeah. We got it like hung above some of the metal bins, and then I got the Jim Reeve one behind the counter. But a lot of people point them out, man. They're like, oh, that's so cool. And then
That's
I'll
awesome.
always guide them to your Instagram and stuff and let them know who did it.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
And then I got a few things that I got from you like years ago hung up in my house still.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man.
I'd have to like show you pictures, but yeah, I got this little tiny ghoul that's on like it's like a 4x6 picture. Like I remember getting some stuff from you and you threw in a bunch of extra goodies in there and I framed everything and hung it up around the house and yeah, I
Yeah,
like it,
sometimes
man.
I forget how long I'm actually been doing this for, you know? Like,
Yes. Which leads me to like, how long have you been doing this for? Like, when did you start drawing ghouls and kind of take on the style that you have? Because you have your own character style that's like signature to you.
yeah, it's a weird journey. I mean, how I got here and what I've been doing, because I really didn't even intend to be an artist. Like I've always liked drawing. It's always been a thing that I've done, in school and shit. And I remember just being like, in high school and stuff, I would draw to pay attention. It's like, it's the way my brain kind of works. That's the only way I could really focus. I would get fucking yelled at by teachers, but I'm like, yo, like, this is how I process things.
Mm-hmm.
But, like with the whole art thing, it was like, I more so wanted to be a filmmaker. That was like my number one goal. And so I moved to Chicago for a little bit. I studied film and then it's way too expensive there. So moved back to Alpena, worked my ass off at Pizza Hut, delivered pizzas left and right, and then moved to Grand Rapids and went to Grand Valley. And when I was in Grand Valley, I got my film degree and everything, but I don't know where it came. I mean, I do know where it came from. There's a whole process of so many bad memories of my childhood, PTSD, really bad breakups, and I think just being in college and being out on your own and be starting to become the person that you are and finding new friends and being just independent. These things like trauma, your anxiety and depression just slowly creep up, and I just started getting extreme panic attacks like out of nowhere. I would just wake up in cold sweats, fuck, I couldn't breathe, it's like I was gonna pass out, and I was like, am I fucking dying? Like
Right.
so as these kind of like progressed, I would just kind of grab a sketchbook sometimes just to like calm down my brain and I would just start drawing. And as these, panic attacks progressed and got worse and worse, I just noticed that when I was having these, I started drawing the same image and it was like this ghoul. And I was like, well, what the hell is this? And I kind of sat with it and I was like, well, shit, this is my anxiety. This is my depression. These are my panic attacks on a paper. And it was something that was coming out of me onto a canvas or whatever. So that's how they kind of like came about. And yeah, I mean, I've been doing art since as long as I can remember. I mean, I have one of my best friends sent me a photo, a skull and crossbones that I drew for him. And he texted me, he's like, you drew this for me in the first grade.
Gnarly.
And it's like, I've always just been into art and I've always been into like death. I've always been into darkness, but like not in like this like harmful way. I think
Right.
a lot of people from the outside that look at someone that's into, wearing all black or into serial killers or horror films, they have this like immediate response to being like, well, this person's bad or they're a terrible person, they're harmful. And for me, it's just been nothing but escapism because the world around me is way more darker than film or comic books
Oh,
and things
most
like that.
definitely, dude. There's some true fucking evil out there.
Yeah, exactly. So I've always been into that stuff, but that's I've been doing art since pretty much as long as I can remember.
Do you still have like the first ghoul that you drew?
I don't know. Because like the first one I fucking drew, was going through a really hard time. I didn't really
Right.
think that I was going to become like this, doing art called Chapel of Ghouls. I never expected it because I was like, I'm going to be a filmmaker. I'm going to be the next Scorsese.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But yeah, no, I never kept it. And Chapel of Ghouls kind of turned into I called it that for two reasons. And I didn't start calling it Chapel of Ghouls until like 2016, maybe around there. I was always just kind of going by my name.
It was
And then,
from the Morbid Angel song, I would imagine.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. That record, I love it. It's one of my first death metal records I was ever introduced to. But then I was kind of playing, well, what does Chapel of Ghouls like mean to me? You know, like, if you listen to the lyrics of the song, it's like really evil. Like ghouls attack the church, crush the holy priest is like the opening lyric. And it's like has nothing to do with, me being evil or anti-religious. It was more of like, well, what do these ghouls mean to me? They're coming from within. And I kind of looked at it like a religious thing, and putting ghouls like on this pedestal and befriending them and bowing to them and worshiping them instead of running away from them. So like the more I understood like my depression, the more I understood my anxiety, the more I understood my heartbreak, the more I could overcome it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more of like a worship of your anxieties instead of running from them.
It makes sense. I always thought the name was sweet. Like one, I'm a big Morbid Angel fan, but just I think it suits your artwork style just because you draw a numerous amount of different ghouls and stuff. So it was almost like it was kind of destined to be that.
Yeah, it almost feels natural.
Yeah.
Like I was destined to be fucked up in the head with mental health issues.
And you have like quite a few like random murals around Grand Rapids up, and like there's even one on the side of the record store still that kind of got torn apart over the years, but there used to be one of your ghouls on the side of the store.
Yeah, I still do here and there, but I loved going out at nighttime, like just dressing all black and go out wheat pasting. I would just like take a large piece of paper, draw a ghoul on it with like a positive message, and just go out in the night and just like slap it up and leave it up for the public to see. The murals here in Grand Rapids, yeah, I've done a couple at some breweries. It's really hard to get mural work for businesses
Yeah.
here in Grand Rapids, honestly, anywhere, just because the nature of my style. I don't think a lot of businesses want like barfing ghouls and like decapitated ghouls and stuff like that,
Right.
want flowers and things that are going to bring people into their business. But
You
the
got to
ones
keep
I
it real,
do
man.
with, say that again.
You got to keep it real, man.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck the flowers.
I've had requests to do certain things in the past, and never want to be rude towards anyone, but I'm like, no, sorry, it's not for me, and I'll just send them to someone else. And I don't care how much they're going to pay me because
Right.
I don't want to sound like, oh, I'm so true to punk rock and metal, blah blah blah, and skate. But like that's my culture I grew up in, as you guys know. Like money's not everything to me. I'd rather stay true to who I am and what I do.
Yeah, plus if you're doing a painting or some type of piece that your heart and mind isn't into, then it's just not going to turn out as well as what it would if it was.
Oh, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's exactly why I've turned them down because I'm like this. I'm not into it. It's not gonna come out the way that.
Nah, dude. It's like selling out.
Yeah, 100%.
But if they're like, we're going to pay you $1 million to put a family of ghouls up here fucking each other, you're like, where do I sign?
Yeah, exactly. I will sign in blood.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but no, I'm really grateful for all the opportunities that I do get, and I hope more do come. But it's just trying to stay true to myself.
I seen like on Instagram you were in, was it Italy like a while back?
Yeah.
Did you put any ghouls up around Italy while you were there?
Oh, I did. When my
I
so I'll get this
did.
question sometimes. People will be like, "So, what is your biggest accomplishment?" You would say for Chapel of Ghouls, and my response is always when I went to Vatican City and I took a Chapel of Ghouls sticker and I put it in the Vatican City for the
Oh,
Pope to
nice.
see.
Yeah, that's
That
pretty dope.
Yeah, that
that
would be.
was a huge accomplishment for me. And yeah, that trip was just incredible. Me and my wife were supposed to go in 2020 for our honeymoon, but
Yeah,
pandemic
COVID.
hit. So we finally got to make it a reality. We went to Venice, Rio, and Rome. We were there for like 2 full weeks. It was mind blowing.
Yeah, there's a ton of cool scenery and shit there. Like I've never been there because I'm not big on long plane rides, but I would like to go. You'd just have to maybe sedate me on the plane to get me there.
Dude, I fucking drank like 6 beers
Yeah.
Like, I hate flying.
Yeah, I'm
Hate it.
not big on it either.
I
I will if I have to, but I would really, really prefer not to.
Yeah, so, and that's how I was too. And it was like because of that, the flight to Italy, because we had like three different transfers, but like the long flight was like 10 hours, man, and
Oh, over
like
the ocean?
over the ocean, and like in my head, the anxiety that I have, I'm like, dude, like I can't escape. Like if I wanted to, I can't escape. I'm trapped in this
Yep.
fucking
Yeah.
flying tube that's going over like 900 miles an hour. Like it's so weird to think about. So yeah, I just get in my head and like anxiety kicks in and all these weird scenarios kick in. So I'm like, fuck this. Give me some beer, calm me down, and try to pass out. But
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to pass out on a plane. The longest plane ride I've had is like 3 hours. And after that, I was like, I'm good. I don't want to, like, drive me back from Florida. Don't even fly me back.
straight up, yeah, I think it's gonna be a while till I fly again. We're talking about going to Norway in 2025
Oh,
because
that'd
I've
be
always,
fucking sick.
Oh, yeah, that would be sweet. You got to go in the winter, though, to get, like, the full experience, I feel like.
the full black metal experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I would at least. I feel like if I'm going to Norway, I would think cold, frigid, but I guess it's not too different from here, aside from a lot of historical scenery and stuff. But
Yeah,
weather-wise, I feel like it's roughly the same.
I feel like it's gonna be a lot of the same weather, climate. It's just like, me and my wife, she knows and is really understanding of my passion for like black metal music and all that shit. And she's super supportive of it. And I was like, I've been saying I want to go there, like that's on my bucket list. And she's like, let's go. So I just want to go to Oslo for like a day or two, fucking, check out all like the history of black metal, and then probably just go to Sweden or some shit after that. But
Is
we'll
your
see.
wife into black metal too, or no?
Not really. No, they say opposites attract.
Yeah, she just tolerates it.
She doesn't hate it or anything, and she'll listen to it with me, which is great. So if I'm like in my studio painting, she'll come in here and hang out, and I can blast like the most vile, you know, misanthropic black metal, and she's like, yeah, this is all right, But I took her to her first metal show, maybe like 2 years into dating and going back to Morbid Angel. They were playing in Grand Rapids, so I took her to that show, and there's this band called Dreaming Dead that opened, and it was all women, like it's all women fucking metal band, and she like fell in love with it. She bought a record, so she does have like a metal side, but
Oh,
she usually
nice.
sticks to. We're both really into dungeon synth. If you're familiar with that,
Yep.
We're a little bit.
Yeah. Have you ever listened to an artist by the name of Elavalon?
I have not. No.
So he's a friend of mine. He's from Ann Arbor or Ann Arbor-ish area, and he does a bunch of different dungeon synth music. He owns his own record label called Barrow Horde Records, and he's got a bunch of different projects. I'll get with you on Instagram about it and send you the stuff. But up
Yeah, I was
until
gonna say I
him,
would
I
love.
was not familiar with dungeon synth. Like when he brought that to me, I was like, "What the hell's dungeon synth?" And he's like, "Well, imagine like Lord of the Rings music." And I'm like, oh, okay. So like he has this one album that he wrote while he was up here because his parents have like a cabin in Presqu'île and stuff, and it's called Drums in the Deep Wood. And it's like when I listen to it, I'm like, this is basically like stumbling across a gang of trolls in the woods playing some really awesome, beautiful music. And like that was like my introduction to dungeon synth.
I love that. Yeah, me and my wife, like every morning, we'll make a pot of coffee and make breakfast and just put on Dungeon Synth because it's just calming, Like
Yeah.
it has like this atmospheric, spooky kind of vibe to it sometimes. So like there's best of both worlds. You get like this like Hobbit happy sound. The next track is like going into fucking Mordor and it's dark. So it's like best of both worlds for us.
Yeah, I seen that Vertigo had a dungeon synth section last time that we were there. And I was like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
shit, that's cool.
Yeah, it's popping up quite a bit.
Earlier you said like you like to go out at night and like kind of sticker slap things and paint on stuff. Like how did you get started painting off in the graveyard? Because I've seen that you do that. And I even seen you like on the news and stuff with like a whole group of people painting in the graveyard.
Yeah, I'm really driven about community and people. And I really think that kind of stems like from skateboarding, but also film. But like it's a niche crowd, a niche community where like come from skateboarding, there's like, in Alpina, there's only a certain amount, but I felt really connected to them. And with film, especially like horror movies and even metal music, there's like a niche crowd that's attracted to it. And I'm like, being in this art scene, I was like, I want to create a niche crowd that I feel connected to. And so I was like, I want to kind of launch the cemetery art crew. And I don't want it to be like this celebration of death. It's like, the antithesis of that. It's more about bringing people into a graveyard and sharing a shared experience, the beauty of life, and just being together with strangers, like having a beer or having tea or whatever you want to drink in there while the sun is setting, and just like really being aware of your mortality, being aware of people around you, and being aware of like every breath that you have. So yeah, I try to do them at least 3 times a summer. It's hard with my schedule and everything else I'm doing, but yeah, I just wanted to bring people together in a unique way instead of being like, hey guys, let's just meet at a coffee shop or a brewery, or I wanted to have meaning.
Yeah. And I mean, it fits your style in general. So I thought it was a cool idea. Plus, it would be like one of the quietest places you could think of to go have community painting.
Yeah, it's extremely peaceful, and like if you look at different cultures, like in France and everything, it's such a normal thing to go to the graveyard, have a picnic with a bottle of wine. You look in, Mexican culture, they're like Day of the Dead, they dig up their relatives and party with them. But
Yeah.
here in America, it's like it is so taboo. It's considered like evil or whatever it is, and it's like it's a part of life. It sucks that it's going to come to an end. I don't know what happens after, but I know that when I'm here, I want to really celebrate it. I want to educate people on being like, get off your fucking couch. Like, stop eating and shoving your face with food and not doing anything. Like, get out, because there's like a statistic that I read, and it was like, I don't want to say, it was like 80% of people when they're on their deathbed are just like filled with regret.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, because they're not doing or living life that they want. They're just so concerned about what other people think. They're so concerned about like, I don't know,
I think everybody's scared of failing.
scared of failing. Exactly.
And then, like you
Yes.
said, you get to that fucking deathbed, and then you're like, well, that was,
I should
yeah,
have
dude.
failed.
I
Yeah.
should have failed, exactly. I kind of
Yeah.
had a recent epiphany myself about such things. And I have, when you guys were talking about flying, which I know nothing about,
Yeah.
but, and drinking beers. So I don't drink, and I would have to use the Dave Lockery fucking ethic of, we're only here for a few minutes. Fuck it, let's party. And I think about
Yes.
that, and I'm good to go, dude.
Yep.
And it doesn't even mean in like a bad way. It's just like it is what it is, dude. Don't let this shit get you down.
Yeah. My dad always says, and I think he got it from a country western singer, but he always says, "I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like some
You
John
know?
Wayne shit or something.
Yeah. And I've kind of lived by that motto too. And I'm a huge hypochondriac and just like terrified, like literally terrified of death. But it's a huge motivator for me. I was really exposed to it at a really young age, more than anyone else should. Like I was fucking shit 8 years old for my first funeral, and it really stuck with me. And I think ever since then, I continued to lose people after that. But it just made me wake up and say, like I'm gonna live my life the way that I want to live. Obviously, being conscious of other people too and feelings. You can't be selfish all the time,
Right.
but making sure that you're living day to day, trying to do something for yourself every single day. So when I wake up, like one of the first things I do when I walk out my door, I'm just literally thanking the universe, whatever it is, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, or just even myself, just for existing, and say, what am I going to do today to make the world a better place? And I just try to live by that motto as much as I can.
Which is a good motto to live by
Fuck
because,
yeah,
like,
it
a
is.
lot of people get wrapped up in, like, boredom is like a very, very slow death. Like,
Yes.
you choose to do absolutely nothing with yourself in, as far as, like, whether you're fearful of failing or whatever the case of why you're choosing not to do what you want to do. I mean, unless what you want to do is, like, go around beheading people, then I guess you should probably, like, hold off on that until you're a
Yeah,
little
right.
older.
Yeah.
But like, it's a good motto to have because I'm the same way. Like, I don't want to die. Like, I would rather be here for a long, long, long fucking time. But it's going to happen at some point. And,
Yep.
I would rather, when I'm at that position, be like, okay, you know what? It's my time. I did this, that, and the other, and I'm happy with that. And yeah, you're going to have regrets one way or another, no matter what. But, I mean, that's life. Like,
Can I ask you something? You said you went to your first funeral when you were like 8.
Yeah.
So I also went to funerals quite often. Oh, the only difference is um, I don't know how. My mom's real fucking weird, and she like funerals are almost like social gatherings, I believe, to her. She's fucking weird. But
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, so in that sense, like where you said you know that shit like freaks you out or freaked you out, it did the reverse thing to me, to where it's kind of like, I guess it is what it is, you know, to me. Like I
Sure.
don't
Yeah.
have a fear of death. I have a fear of not living. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah. I think, everyone has their own experience with it, right?
Oh, for sure. That's why I wanted to, just it's, affects everybody completely different, you know?
Yeah. I have buddies that are like, yeah, I don't fucking, it's, honestly, me and my wife, again, like I said, are opposites attract because she's like, take me now, I don't care. Like, she's just like
Yeah,
always
yeah.
jokes about that shit. She doesn't even flinch at the thought of death. Where I myself, like, I think about it probably at least 50 times a day. And it's not just like thinking about my own death, it's also thinking about, my parents,
Oh,
thinking
yeah,
about
dude.
my wife, thinking about my dog, or like who's going to go first. And it's like not really the best way to live all the time to always be thinking of someone or your own demise, but it's also I'd rather think about it than not, so I can really appreciate the time that I have.
Yeah,
And
that's a good way to look at it.
yeah, it's just there's so many people that get their lives cut short, and that's like probably my biggest fear, just not getting a full experience of life. But
yeah, getting your plug pulled early, so to
yeah,
speak.
exactly.
Going back to black metal a little bit, I wanted to ask, like, when you're painting and you're listening to music, is there any black metal artists or albums that kind of help mold your style or bring like certain things out onto the canvas for you?
Yeah, I'm gonna probably get it's like my favorite like black metal band that I put on a lot is Carpathian Forest from Norway. Just it's like just so raw and violent sounding
Yeah, I think
and
they're
makes it
like a
feel
very underappreciated black metal band. Like they don't get as in the spotlight as like your Mayhems and Immortal and that sort of thing.
I agree.
exactly. And they should. Like and it's such a weird thing, when I really look at specifically 90s black metal and the history of what they done. Not good people, you know. A
Fuck
lot of the
no, dude.
lyrics
Horrible motherfuckers.
terrible people. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, should that be supported? It's like, well, I don't want to support what they did. However, there's like this like strong interest in it because I think with black metal and the people that were involved in that scene are people that I could never be. Right. And it's like when I was in my youth in high school and into that stuff, it's like I didn't really understand what they did. I just liked the sound of it. I liked how it made me feel.
Mm,
As I got older, then like recognizing like them wearing corpse paint and like this, it almost felt like an extension of myself that I could not be. Like I can't be extremely hateful. I'm not gonna go burn down a church. I'm never gonna murder anyone. But I think that every single person that walks among us has negative, violent energy in them. It's a part of life. It's the human experience. We get mad. We get pissed. That's okay. That's normal. But how do we handle those emotions? And for me, black metal is like all the anger that I feel towards humanity. So bring out the misanthropy, but knowing that I never want to harm anyone. Right. So it's just like full on, like if I'm having a really bad day at work, I had a bad interaction with someone, or I saw something on the news where someone was mean to someone. It's like coming back into my studio, putting on like Carpathian Forest or just like hateful black metal and hating the cruelty of the world rather than people. Does it make sense? I just
yeah, absolutely.
separation of myself.
Yeah,
It's
you're
kind
just
of like
redirecting your fucking feelings towards other things, really, you know?
Yes, yeah.
it's
Like
kind
I'd rather
of in
like
a way like the same as like fascination with serial killers and stuff. Like, yeah, you're not glorifying or supporting what they did, but the psychology that is behind all that is intriguing. It's like the same way people are into true crime documentaries. Like, yeah, you don't want to go out and murder your wife or husband, or maybe you do, I don't know, but it's not like you're going out actively like protesting like we should murder people. It's an intriguing topic. It's the same way horror movies are intriguing, like that feeling of being on kind of like the edge of your seat type of thing.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. And I think that's why I've always been into that stuff, you know?
It's
It's
like you said,
exhilarating.
man. I think some people are just geared, into the darkness or in tune with it a little more than others. So you get drawn to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, you go back to, like I said, like my first funeral, I was like 8 years old. And then after that, I continued to lose people left and right. And it's like, well, how can I not be entwined with darkness
Right,
when it's
exactly.
something that I experience a lot of? And then, having my own health issues as a kid, being locked in bed and thinking I was going to die and all this shit, So it's like, I feel it's a part of me. Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Are there any newer black metal bands that you're into by chance?
There's a band from Canada that I really like called Nocturnal Departure. They put out this record called Cathartic Black Rituals. It's very 90s sounding, really, really good. Highly recommend it. Um, it's another band.
I just wrote it down because I don't know if I know that.
They're great. There's a band called Portrayal of Guilt.
That one I
Uh,
do know.
yeah, great band. Their newest record, Devil Music, is like I saw them perform maybe like 6 months ago at the Pyramid Scheme, and it's just like I didn't even know what they looked like, and I just like was listening to their record, and it comes out, and it's like it's like a kid, young, probably in his 20s, like crust punk looking kid, and but like his vocals are so demonic. I loved it. And there's so much anger in it. Really into the band Craft.
Is it
And
Craft with a
honestly,
K?
I will say like it's not newer, but I always go back to my throwbacks from high school, like old school Cradle of Filth and old school Dimmu. Like I will always love that shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. We get on kicks like
I
that.
was that's what I was gonna ask. Are you more into it sounds like you're into both, so that kinda answers my question. But I was gonna ask if you're more on the lo-fi side of things or more on like the melodic side of things for black metal, but I think it kinda
Both.
sums up both.
Yeah, I can't, just listen to like one thing. I mean, I'm full on like a metalhead, and that's like 95% of the music I listen to. But like I bounce around pretty much everything. I love a lot of the new school death metal bands that are coming out, like Torture Rack, Flesh Rot, 200 Stab Wounds. Like they're really changing the game of death metal. And
Did you
yeah,
see 200 Stab Wounds when they just played GR not that long ago?
yeah, it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It really good. It was strange though. I mean, I feel like the vocalist changed his singing style a little bit. He's kind of like doing like these like hardcore vocals, but like their one record, Slave to the Scalpel, it's like full on like guttural death metal vocals. And
Yeah.
now like the new one that they're putting out seems kind of like more hardcore. It's
Probably
Nice.
interesting.
hard on his fucking throat or something. You know what I mean?
Well,
That's
they
what I
were
was
on
thinking.
that. They were on the Pain of Truth record too,
Yeah,
so they might have some hardcore
I'm sure they
roots and
do have some
ties.
ties somewhere.
Yeah, but they're great live. Highly recommend. If you ever get a chance to see them.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to see them, but I did see like another local band that I know of, Self Absorbed. They have a chick singer. I've listened to them off and on a little bit, but I seen them opening up for them, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, good for you guys.
Oh yeah, that's rad.
But 200 Stab Wounds, like it's good workout music. Like it really like pumps you up like that. I love that Slave to the Scalpel record, and then they've come out with like I think two singles so far off the new album. I can't remember what the name of it is though.
Yeah, it's like Masters of Morbidity, I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
called.
that sounds right.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked for it. I'm always excited for new records dropping. You know,
Oh yeah,
uh,
I try to keep up on it. Like we try to stay up to date on everything
So
for the
fucking
sake of the
hard.
podcast, just
yeah, of
and
course.
for the record store, so I can pitch people like, oh, check this new band out. If you like this band, there's this band, that sort of thing.
It was kind of hard though sometimes too, just because like
Oh, it's really hard. There is a
there's so
lot
much
of shit out
content,
there.
dude.
Yeah.
Like
It's
I
every
get
day there's a new band that pops up, and you're like, man, I do not
And they're fucking good.
And they're good too. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know if I got the time to dive into these guys.
Yeah, me and my buddy have this text thread. We just send each other new music all the time, and it's like, I'll listen to the record maybe once, and I'm like, "Fuck, man, the record was incredible." Like, I got to go back, and it's like when you go back, then like 1,500 more records just dropped. Like you can't stay on top.
Yeah, it's like every Friday there's like 400 or 500 new releases amongst like all genres of music.
Yeah, that's why I would just kind of go back to the basics and listen to Cradle and Dimmu, obviously like old school Misfits, shit like that.
Yeah, Cradle of Filth was huge for me as a kid. That was like the first band that I remember really freaking me out because I remember
Same.
seeing the From the Cradle to Enslave video, and they're like conjuring up that like big demon thing in the video,
Yeah.
and you're just like, I was like 11. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yep.
And it like pulls you in, but at the same time you're like kind of freaked out to watch it. And then I remember buying the Midian CD, and they have that like satanic mantra on there where they're like just chanting this Archangel, Dark Angel, lend me thy light, and it goes on and on and on.
Yep.
And I remember hearing that in my room, and I was like, oh my God, my mom's gonna think I'm conjuring up demons in here or something. Like, but I mean, that was cool to me though, because it like gives you that like little bit of thrill to where you're like, this is fucking like, it's kind of like gives you an adrenaline rush to where it's intriguing.
That's what it was for me, especially Cradle, because like if you obviously look at the history of like rock and roll and shit, people lost their minds when Elvis like shook his hips. Then you have like Kiss or like, oh my God, Knights in Satan's Service is so evil. You listen to that shit now, it's so tame.
Yeah.
But like our generation, like that was Cradle of Filth, and it was like I remember seeing From Cradle to Enslave as well, and I was like, I should not be watching this.
Yeah, because they had that like uncensored video too that was like pretty graphic, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I play that video for friends at parties all the time.
That's what I always appreciated about Cradle and Dimmu. Those two bands in particular is like listening to any other tracks is like instant. Like you close your eyes and there's a movie in your head. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yes,
I
extremely.
love that about
I love
about those
the
bands.
symphonic stuff, if it's done right.
Yeah. There's a newer band called Stormkeep that they have like a really cool melodic black metal sound, but they also incorporate dungeon synth into their music.
Yes, I love them.
Yeah, they're great.
I think that's a couple of dudes from Blood Incantation.
Yep.
if I
That
remember
is
correctly.
correct.
And then also they have another band called Wayfarer that is, I think it's the guitar player that's in Wayfarer, but
Okay.
they bounce between the three. Wayfarer is like, it's not black metal. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe, I guess, but lyrically it's all like American folklore, like 1800s, like cowboy era type of stuff, but it's a really cool sound and content, and like I don't think there's been a band that's really touched on that.
It's definitely unique sounding, that's for sure.
What's it called?
Wayfarer, they have a new record coming out Friday called American Gothic, I believe is the name of it, or something along those lines.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm gonna download that shit ASAP.
And then there's like another, do not know how to pronounce it. I'd have to message it to you. But those guys that are in those run of bands, they have a lot of different projects that all contrast way differently from each other, but are all really good.
I can't imagine being that talented.
Yeah,
Right.
like,
Be involved in all those bands.
and
It's
to
crazy.
have that sound like coming from Colorado too, because like when you think black metal bands like that, a lot of them are in Finland or Norway or France or just somewhere that's not typically the States. And then you got these bands now that are pumping out like this almost like nostalgic black metal.
Yeah.
To where you're like, wow, this shit's really good coming from America.
I love to see it.
Not that we can't make good music, but it's just it wasn't popular here. Like it didn't start here. It was it was an overseas thing. It was the contrast to death metal originally.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like America was really well at doing hardcore and punk.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So going to like movies and stuff, are you still making movies yourself, or what are you doing in regard to that now?
Yes and no. I mean, like the last film I made was like 2016. It's been a while.
Is that the one that you premiered here in the alleyway?
That was a different one.
Was it?
Uh,
I can't
this,
remember. I can't
This
remember the
one, the
name
last
of
one I
it.
did was called "Fuck You, Steve." It was like this like revenge film kind of thing, but it was with little children, and it was like these three little girls and one girl in the group gets, and they go by this what do I call them, the slasher sisters. They're like into horror movies and stuff, little punk rock girls,
Yeah.
and one gets her heart broken by this little boy named Steve. So they decide to egg his house and get revenge on him and light a flaming bag of dog shit on his porch.
Oh,
Um,
that's a Billy
it was fun to
Madison
make.
thing.
I wanted to make something kind of like innocent, fun, cute, but like heavy. And it was
Right.
kind of like a commentary on like all the shitty relationships that I've been in. But other than that, no, I have two films that I'm kind of playing with, and I was talking to my wife about it, and I was like, I really want to get back into filmmaking. It's hard with my career, hard with Chapel of Ghouls stuff. But I was like, how can I like incorporate Chapel of Ghouls back into filmmaking? So
Have you
I
thought
have
about
one
doing like
going.
a animated Chapel of Ghouls type of film to where you bring all your ghouls to life animation wise?
That would love to do that, but I can't animate to
Right.
do that. It's like it's so animation takes so much time, and I don't have the patience. Like a lot of my art when I'm painting, I'm just fucking like drawing as quick as possible and just getting emotions out
Right.
to like do body movement with it. I just would never be able to do it with my patience, that is. But I want to do like this an experimental black and white film, kind of dealing with like I really wanted to feel like like very black metal influence, but using a lot of like cloaked figures. I've made masks in the past, so I want to use those. And the other one I'm working on, I'm a sucker for films that have like dinner parties and like these conversation pieces, but also home invasion horror movies. And I have this vision. I kind of started writing it, and I want it to be this couple's having a dinner party and invite people over. They're all kind of hanging out, doing their thing, having conversations, listening to records, drinking wine. And outside, there is a group of home intruders that go by the Gooligans, and they all have different masks. And one mask represents anxiety, one represents depression, all these different bad human emotions. And they break into the home, end up pretty much murdering everyone in the house. And but each one's going to represent each person's struggle with mental health, kind of thing. And when the slaughter happens, I want the camera to pan out from this window. And when it pans out further, you're going to see this guy walking down the street, and on his head is that house. So like inside of his head, there's this murder happening, and it's him just kind of dealing with his daily struggles of anxiety. It's going to be hard to pull off, but I want everyone around him that's walking around to have houses on their heads as well that have these things kind of going on inside. It's a whole kind of commentary metaphor for like we don't know what people are dealing with when you're walking past them.
Right. That's actually a really sweet idea.
I always wonder that
Creative.
shit too. Like, I wonder, why is this motherfucker looking at me? What is he thinking?
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's definite. And then
He's
I always
wondering
wonder, like,
he's wondering
what
what
if
your
there's a
head would look
telepath?
like on a stick.
Yeah, it could be. But like, what if somebody?
Yeah,
I always
yeah.
think like, what if somebody here can read my thoughts and shit? That freaks me out too.
Yeah. Did this
I think
guy
about that
just
all the
hear me?
time.
I need that fucking Magneto helmet, dude.
Yeah, yes,
So how
yeah.
did you get into creating your own films?
Just by pure obsession with cinema. When I was growing up, I had epilepsy as a kid, and I was bedridden for a long time. And I remember a specific moment where I was in my bedroom. It was like a summer night, and I'm like hooked up to all these fucking machines because they're trying to figure out what's going on with me. And I could hear like all the kids outside like laughing and playing basketball, and I can't move. And I remember putting on Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and that movie transported me out of like what I was dealing with, and made me feel like I was on the road with Pee Wee Herman going to Texas to go to the Alamo's basement. And I would watch it on repeat just to try to escape everything I was kind of going through. And as I got older, losing family members to death, going through breakups, then I started getting this passion for horror movies, mostly through my father too, because he would like put on Universal monster films. And then, my brother's 5 years older than me, so he'd like have friends over, they'd be watching horror movies, so I would sneak out and watch them. And I just know and just remember the way these films made me feel. And I wanted to create those emotions for other people through cinematic practice, I suppose. So yeah, I was like, I'm gonna go to film school. And I also went to film school and got into art because I remember telling myself at a young age that I never wanted to work a day in my life. And if I could be successful in film or art, then I'm just doing what I like to do. I like to have fun with it.
Right.
And I still wake up in the morning and fucking pinch myself because the fact that I get to program, a historic theater is insane to me. It's insane to me. It makes no sense sometimes, but I'm extremely fucking grateful. But that's what got me into film and why I wanted to make my own films.
What was the first horror movie that you remember watching?
Oh man. So I was probably the one that really stuck with me. I was probably 11, 12 years old. And a friend down the street was having a birthday party. And his dad rented just a shit ton of horror movies. And he came back. So my, family video was open, came back with all these VHS tapes, put them on the ground. He's like, all right, have fun, boys. And got us a fucking pizza and soda. And we put on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I remember everyone just being fucking petrified. And I was
Yeah.
like, my eyes were just glued to the screen. And I just never felt anything like that before. And I was like, kind of got obsessed with it. But I remember going home the next day and I felt really scared, Like I didn't want to sleep. But it was also like, it made me feel so alive.
Yeah, it's the thrill of the ride
Yeah,
for
that's fucking adrenaline, man.
yeah, especially the
Yes.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it's a very intense first exposure to horror. It's like not like some people are like, well, I seen I'm trying to think of something less like extreme. I don't know, like Little Shop of Horrors or something. It's
Right.
like less
Yeah.
less graphic. But like Texas Chainsaw, I mean, people are getting their faces cut off, and there's like
No blood.
all these crazy like camera angles and these effects that he had, and then like at the end when he's fucking running around all crazy with the chainsaw, and like that was all improv and whatnot.
Yeah, it's so well done. That movie is a literal masterpiece. Like and like you just said, like no blood. And like you hear that title, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it sounds so violent and so gory. Then you watch it and it's like no blood.
Yeah, it's all in the
All
head,
done with,
dude.
it's incredible. The most fucked up thing though out of that story. So you're saying like, a lot of people are introduced to like, more playful horror movies. I remember that night too, where when his father threw down these VHS tapes, one of those films in that was Faces of Death.
Fucking right.
Oh man.
Dude, because the dad didn't know what it was.
Right.
He's like, oh, just a horror movie. And we threw that on, and I can still remember the opening scene, and it fucked me up.
Yeah,
Like,
that's gnarly
that was
shit.
the last time we watched, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was talking to my wife about it actually because it was, I was drinking some beers, working on art, and I was like thinking about that. And like, so I ended up ordering a t-shirt, like the original cover of Faces of Death. And I wear it around a lot and I get these like looks and these questions. And it's like that movie, I don't like it. I'm so upset that it exists, but at the same time, I'm so happy it does because I remember seeing it and it made me appreciate life so much. And it's like a thing that I continuously go through my head, being like, watching that shit was like, yeah, it made me appreciate life. So, raw shit.
Yeah, I remember watching Faces of Death with my friend's dad and him when I was pretty young too. I want to say I was probably 12ish, and I
Shit
just
you
like
should not see at 12.
I know, like I didn't really understand just how like horrifying it really was because you're just like your innocent mind is just kind of like not interpreting it the way that it should be interpreted.
Yeah.
And then like when you grow up and you're watching other horror stuff and you look back on that and you're like, holy shit, like I should not have watched that. Like you might as well have shown me Cannibal Holocaust at that age. Like
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's one that really stuck with me.
because they were really made to look like the stuff was real, and I mean, for the longest time, like people really thought it was.
Oh yeah, I thought it was real up until like 5 years ago.
Yeah, I've shit me too, probably. Like, because I remember hearing or reading something that was like, yeah, it's kind of like a spoof film, and same with Cannibal Holocaust. Like, yeah, there were some animals that got injured during, but there was no like eating of people in there, and
Right.
it's just, but it's made to look so real that you're just like your young mind doesn't know that it's not.
And I think that's what kind of, going back to like kind of got me into movies. It's like this weird taboo obsession with movies and like being in high school too, like people like tape trading VHSs, like, dude, check this movie out. It's banned in the UK, it's banned in America, check this out. And it's like, oh, this is fun,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, you knew if it was banned that it was going to be something good. Typically.
yes, yeah.
There's
Not
so
al-
many
not
movies
always,
right now that are badass that are still on VHS and have never been fucking digitally converted, man. That are out there.
I have actually a giant VHS collection. I still collect them. It's a weird obsession.
And
Oh
some
yeah,
of-
my son does that shit too.
When it comes to horror,
Nice.
some of that stuff you can't even find on DVD, or if you do, it's real expensive.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, like I went to they have these things called tape swaps. There's
Yeah.
one in Muskegon, about 40 minutes from me, and it was a ton of VHS vendors. And I went to one table, and this guy had Faces of Death 1, 2, and 3 for sale for $250.
Wow.
Damn.
And I'm like, holy shit! Like I almost wanted to get it just to say that I have it, but I was like, I don't want it. Like
Yeah.
the T-shirt's enough.
Yeah, that's pricey for 3 VHS
yeah.
tapes. But I have heard of, like, recently some of the stuff's going for an obscene amount.
Oh yeah, tremendous amount. It's crazy.
Have you ever seen the movie with Lou Diamond Phillips called The First Power?
I haven't, no.
Okay, so that's a VHS tape that I have not been able to find, and it is my favorite fucking movie about possession, and it's fucking to this day still gives me the heebie-jeebies. And I have a copy of it, but I can't find it anywhere else.
No
Fucking-
shit. Yeah, I'm gonna write that down. Try to check it out.
The First Power.
I never cared for possession movies.
No?
No, I don't know why. I just like to see my villains. And I guess those you didn't see the entity that was possessing, so they didn't draw me in.
Oh, I fucking love the First Power. And Prophecy, I like those.
I mean,
Those
like, there are good ones. It's just like that I guess I always leaned more towards like Evil Dead and stuff, because you could see the deadites and shit.
Well, when
Yeah.
you guys were talking about Faces of Death, I watched that when I was young too, but I watched it with my grandpa, and that's who I watched movies with, and he would laugh during that shit.
Oh
So,
my god.
right, like, so I already knew, like, it was fake. And then, like,
Okay.
a traumatizing moment would have been, like, The Shining, and I was small enough to fit on a love seat and sleep on a love seat. I know that. So maybe, like, 8 to 10. And,
Sure.
like, when the chick comes out of the bathtub and it's like,
Okay.
I fucking rip the blanket over my head and my grandpa just laughs. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, so, like, I have, a totally different fucking outlook. So weird.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, The Shining though, that scene is
Yeah,
he's
dude.
definitely chills, man.
Yeah,
Like
that movie's
this.
fucking scary still.
Have you seen the original, like the Stephen King Shining?
Like the fucking made for TV.
Yeah, it's not nearly
Yeah.
as good.
Yeah.
I wish they would have put the lawn animals that are in the book. They put them in that made for TV movie, but they're like Edward Scissorhands, you know, like that kind
Right.
of shit.
Yeah.
And, like, in the book though, those things were like moving around and fucking with people. I thought that was cool.
So
Yeah.
you watched Doctor Sleep, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
oh
then?
yeah.
Did you like it?
I did.
I thought it was pretty cool. I read the book way before the movie came out, and just because, like, as a big fan of The Shining, I thought
Definitely.
it was really cool, and it was a cool premise for a book and a story. Like, I thought it was a good continuation of.
I liked how they showed in the book him turn into Jack and, like, just like, he's just getting mad fucked up and, like, stealing money from a chick's purse, and then, like, he sees a baby and, like, it's all fucked right up, dude, you know?
Yeah.
But they made it real, you know what I'm saying? So I thought they did a good job on that book.
Yeah, I liked it. And some of the Stephen King books can be kind of like, oh my god, just get to the point.
Yeah, I know. Oh, sorry, we left you out of the conversation, man.
No, I'm enjoying listening. Yeah.
So going back to like films and stuff. So you went to film school. You went in Grand Rapids, yeah?
Correct. Yeah.
And you were a film curator, from what I remember.
Yeah. So I went to film school to be a filmmaker.
What is is a
at the
curator just a maker? Is that just a fancy word for filmmaker?
Curators, so my career, I guess I'll tell you the quickest way to tell this journey. So yeah, I was in film school to write films. And then I got there's a place called the UICA, was the Urban Institute for Contemporary Arts. I had a buddy that was working there as a projectionist, and he asked me if I wanted to get a job there. So lucked out, and I started, doing projection there. And what happened is the building was about to go under, and they brought someone else in. Like the university bought the UICA, and they fired like everyone that worked there and kept two people, and I was one of those people. And they brought me on as the film curator, and what that means is I got to program and select certain films for the theater. So my job entitled me like just watching. It was all foreign cinema. We played nothing pretty much but foreign cinema, art house, documentary films. So I got to like, how like a art curator like picks paintings for a wall. I got to pick films for a one screen theater. So I did that for 8 years. Then the pandemic hit. I lost my career, and then I started bartending and making art just to get by. And luckily, there's another theater here in Grand Rapids, a historic theater called the Wealthy Theater, built in 1911. They brought me on to help curate films. I run a film series called Open Projector Night, and it's a reoccurring event that happens 4 times a year that celebrates nothing but Michigan film. So we open up submissions for anyone that wants to submit if they made a film, but they have to be either living in Michigan or from Michigan. And we put together like a 95-minute program, and I screen all the films, put together the show, and we have events 4 times a year. So yeah, I'm just watching a lot of movies and curating things.
Yeah, that's fucking sick.
Does it have to be filmed in Michigan, or the director or producer, etc., just has to be from Michigan?
Yeah, it has to be like connected to Michigan either through content, location, or crew. So like if the filmmaker like, is born in Michigan and he moves to LA and he has Michigan roots, yeah, we'll put him in if it's good enough.
So like if Sam Raimi wants to submit a film to you.
I mean, I won't even screen it. I'll just put it in because it's fucking Sam Raimi.
Yeah. That's cool though. I mean, that you get to actually like, not many people get to do what they want to do, like especially when it comes to film. Like that's a really hard industry to get into.
Extremely, and that's what I was saying earlier. Like I wake up and I pinch myself every day, being grateful for what I have and what I do. But what I said earlier too was like I just knew from like a young age that like I never wanted to work, like ever. Not like because I'm lazy or anything. It was more like I just want, and I knew because life is so short that like we're gonna fucking die, and that sucks. So while I'm here, I want to make sure that I'm doing something that's meaningful to me and hopefully meaningful to other people. So, and I really think that kind of stemmed from like skateboarding too, because like that was one of my main goal was to be like a professional skateboarder.
I was gonna ask, were you aspiring to be a professional skater at any point? Because around Alpena, like you were like arguably the best skater there was here.
A huge compliment. It means a lot that people thought that. But I was obsessed with it. And I look at like my skateboarding compared to my art, compared to my passion for film. It's like when I really get into something, I get obsessed with it. And I want to put everything I have into it. So like with skateboarding, it was like, hey, if I want to make it and get sponsored, well, if no one wants to skate with me, I don't care. I'm going to go to the skate park and I'm going to skate for hours by myself until I learn a new trick. Like with painting, it's like, I'm putting on an art show. I don't have enough pieces. Okay, I guess I'm going to stay up until 6 o'clock in the morning and then go to work at 8 just to get it done.
Right.
With film, like it's just something I love it so much and I want it to be successful. But I really owe it all to skateboarding.
Did you ever have any skating sponsors at any point?
Direct Skate Shop, the best.
I knew that,
Not really, no. Never really happened.
I mean, that's shit. That's arguably harder than film to get into. Like, that's another hard business.
Well,
really,
dude, in Michigan
and in northern Michigan, like nobody was so looking here for that.
You.
Yeah, I sent in sponsor tapes to a couple of people, just to try. But it was like, yeah, exactly what you said. Like being in northern Michigan, like if I wanted to succeed at that, I would have had to move to California at a young age. And it's like, I talked about it, thought about it, but I was in a relationship with someone and they were like, no, you need to stay with me. I was like, okay, I guess I'll stay back. And, that obviously was a dumb decision, but
well, maybe
things work out where they're supposed to.
Maybe not. It led you to where you're at now. So
Yes.
And I wanted to bring up like what you said. You're like, I don't want to work. And I think people misinterpret that, and the word work maybe shouldn't be used, because you don't want to do a 9 to 5. You want to do something you enjoy, and your work ethic is amazing. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah,
like,
100%.
you know,
Yeah.
It's not like you're not putting in work,
right.
but you're not like. I think growing up in Alpena like has that effect though, because I'm kind of the same way. Like you see so many working class people who are just kind of in a job whether they like it or not, and they're just like, well, I got to get up and do this, I got to do this, I got to do that, and it's always like I have to go do this. Like it's never I get to go do this.
Right.
Like
Yes.
when I come to the record store, like shit, there may be days I make $10, but I'm still like I get to come here every day, and records are what I get to do for my livelihood, and stereos and stuff like that, which is what I enjoy doing. So good day, bad day, profitable day, whatever, like it's still I love doing it. And I'm not rich by any means, but I can live off of it, and that's more than good enough for me.
100%. Like you're rich at heart, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I
that's
would
how I feel.
much rather be rich at heart than rich in my pocket.
Yeah.
Not
Like
that being
I'm in
rich
the
in your
film business,
pocket
I get
wouldn't
it,
be bad, but I mean, it'd be cool to have an unlimited source of cash where you can go do whatever you want. But at the same time, like, I don't know, I would just rather be happy and live my life happy and not have to be on somebody else's time. And like, I get to do what I want to do.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's I think about that sometimes. It's like, man, if I had all the money in the world, I think I would just get fucking bored. You
Yeah.
know? It's
Yeah.
like you see all these celebrities that like get to do whatever they want whenever they want, but it's like, are you really that happy when you have everything at your fingertips? Like sometimes like a struggle makes you appreciate things
Oh,
more.
fucking right, dude.
Especially from
Yeah.
a creative standpoint. Like, because if you have all of every tool possible at your disposal, then like your creative mind is dampened by so many distractions or so many different things that are clouding your brain. But like if you have less, and that forces you to be more creative.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes even having less, I come from poverty. Like I did not come from a rich family at all, but having less, like sometimes it's depressing, but it's like at the same time, it's like, well, let's turn this depression into something good. And then
Yeah.
I put it into my art. And yeah, I'd rather have pain than no pain, if that makes sense. It helps with creativity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I got to work a shit job till my kid is a fucking adult, so I only got a couple of years to go.
Where are you working?
Oh, I work for Omni.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. Doesn't Kirchhoff do that too?
Kirchhoff works for fucking
Does he work
Budweiser.
Alpena Beverage now or
Yeah.
something?
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's a forklift driver.
I'm a welder fabricator. I get burned.
Shit.
One day we may have a rich and successful podcast for all you know.
Exactly.
I hope.
Hopefully, at least. So you still skate like to this day, yeah?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Any chance I get, it's it keeps me young. It's like my form of exercise because like I personally, my personal thing, I hate going to the gym. I hate it. Like I've tried it. I don't like exercising. So like skateboarding is like my exercise and it uses like every portion of your body.
Yeah.
So
Also damages every portion of your body when you fall.
yeah, dude, when I fall now, holy shit.
Yeah, it's
I,
Yeah.
it sucks, dude. Like it is so much more painful.
Isn't that
But
shit
I,
weird?
Yeah,
go on.
because as a
It's
kid,
so
you can
fucking
just
weird
you can
how,
just
yeah.
get up and walk off and shake it
Yeah.
off, and you're like, oh, broken leg, no problem. I'll drop in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm out for like a week now if I fall. So I just like when I skate now, I keep it simple, like kickflips, board slides, 50/50s, things I know that I can do. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to fucking cricket ground a 15 stair rail anymore.
I never got skating. I was never good at it. I tried like hell, and then like I kept falling, and I was just like, ah, fuck this. This hurts.
It's painful, man. My body, like I'm probably gonna have arthritis when I'm old, like bad back and shit. But
Oh, being a roller weenie, dude, destroyed my fucking knees.
yeah,
Roller
it,
weenie.
Oh, for
you
sure.
you get it, man. It's painful, but it's so much fun though.
Fuck yeah. I just like hate that adults were right and shit.
Oh
Being
yeah,
like, don't jump off those roofs. Why?
Yep.
You know?
Because you'll feel it when you're older.
Yeah, like, fuck you, dude. You can't do this shit. And then,
I
yeah.
have hope, like Tony Hawk's still going. And he's
Yep.
like fucking in his late 50s and he's still going strong. So it's just about like taking care of like your physical health, your mental health, stretching every morning, that kind of stuff. Like I don't like doing it, I hate it, but I do it because I want to have longevity.
Stretching's key, man. That's where a lot of people go wrong, is not like getting up, moving, stretching, like forms of yoga, that sort of thing. Like a lot of people, even like I'm a little bit younger than you and Jeremy, and like even people that are my age in their early 30s, like you see people that can't even get up off the couch already, or they're already on like back meds and stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, dude, like stretch.
Exactly. And it's American culture too. Like when I was in Italy, I just really saw the difference of cultures and how people were there, where you have like no joke, man, we'd wake up like at 8 a.m., walk out on the street to go get like coffee and whatever, croissant, whatever, some shit. And you see like an 80-year-old man sitting in a cafe drinking like a glass of wine. And it's like a super normal thing. And then everyone walks everywhere.
Yeah.
So when I got back here, it's like I need to start doing that because like in Grand Rapids, everything you just drive everywhere. So I was like, I need to start walking everywhere because it's so much better for your health. So I like park my car like miles away from my work, and then I walk to work and then walk back to my car. Because I'm like, it's just there's so much longevity there because people live this like they live this carefree life where they're like they close their shops like at 1 o'clock for like to have a wine break and just relax and celebrate life. Then they open up and they just walk everywhere. And it's like here it's fucking fast food on every corner, a bar on every corner, like, and this it's not built for walking.
On every corner as well.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think about it like this. When I was in grade school, let's say, you'd have like a couple of overweight kids, or there'd be like one fat kid. But now it's the other way, and there's like the one skinny kid.
Yeah.
And it is very fucking, it's scary, dude.
The stuff that's in our food is so terrible. America's, sorry to say if it offends anyone, but it's not the best country on earth.
No, fuck no, dude.
No, far from it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We're like the best at being fat and locking people in prison.
Yes.
That's like about it.
I just think it goes like a person is smart and people are stupid,
Yeah.
Well, like take something as simple as walking. Like if you just implement that into your day-to-day life more than the average person, like you're already like way ahead of the game.
The fucking mayor in New York, now this probably I believe was pre-COVID, but he tried to take like elevators out, but only used for emergencies, and like the whole fucking city was like, "You're out of your fucking mind," like people that started freaking out.
In New York, I don't know about that.
I know, it's a lot of stairs.
That's a lot of stories to go.
But I mean, I get where he's coming from.
Yeah, I mean, his heart and ideas in the right place, but like, I think New York has the most stories out of anywhere in the world.
I would think.
Yeah,
but yeah, I walk every day. Me and my old lady.
Imagine working on the 99th floor of your building and you're like, fuck, I gotta climb up all the way up here every morning.
God.
Then you just
You'd
roll
have great
in,
thighs,
fake an
though.
injury and use the elevator.
Yeah.
There you go.
You would have the best
Defeat
legs.
the whole fucking purpose of what I was just saying.
Find the American way around it.
Yep, the American way.
So a couple things, like one, before we start wrapping stuff up here, like do you have anything that you're working on as far as art currently, like moving forward past your most recent art show? Are you working towards another art show, or are you just kind of going with the flow?
Yeah, I mean, after this show, putting on a show takes a lot out of you.
Oh yeah,
And
for sure. It's not like you can do it every weekend.
Right. Yeah, and this is I feel good about it, but I'm trying to take a little break. But I know I won't. I don't know how to really do that. I'll take like a day or two off painting because painting is like my release. If I have a stressful day or feeling anxious, I like to paint and it calms me down.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely get back to work. But just recently, this past summer, I finished my first comic book.
Nice.
So I'm working on issue number 2 right now, which I'm hoping to drop in November. So that's like the next
Cool.
project I'm working on.
What was the name of the comic book?
Chance from the Chapel. I was really influenced by like old EC horror comics and just like these kind of cheesy tales, But if you read Tales from the Crypt, it's always introduced by like the Crypt Keeper kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I was doing something similar. I have like the Ghoul Keeper, and he's like introducing the stories, but they're all influenced by like mental health, and they're more like instead of comic book format, it's more like free writing, if you will, of my thoughts, things that I'm going through, like fear of death. I have a very black metal story in there, like full about like misanthropy and like just wanting to slaughter really terrible people that make the world a better place. I mean, make the world a bad place for people to live in.
As like a
But
vigilante
yeah, it's
sort of thing.
just tons of stories with illustrations. It was fun. So I'm working on part 2 now.
Oh,
Did you like print them up physically?
There's a local printer in town that I go to. It goes by Brownlee Press. Incredible at printing stuff, and he worked with me to, get the layout and everything and print them. So
Right on. That's awesome.
yeah,
how many did you do in a run?
I did 50, and it's funny because like I'm gonna do 50, and I was, talking to my wife. I was like, "There's no way they're gonna sell this many, but I want extra for like friends and family." And then I posted it, and they all sold out in like a fucking hour. I
Yeah.
was like incredible, like so humbled. And I was like, holy shit, people want this, meant a lot to me. So I feel like I want to continue on with them. Just try to make as many as
You
possible.
might have to double up the run next
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna order like 100 next time. But I also kind of like the idea of just doing a limited run, It's kind
Yeah.
of like with records and prints, like
Oh, definitely.
the punk rock approach, like I don't really want to try to just keep capitalizing off people. It's like, cool, 50 people have it and only 50 people will have it. And that makes me
Yeah.
happy.
No point in oversaturating it.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
That happens a lot in records now, especially like with the ever growing popularity. Like it used to be like, oh, we did 2,000 of these, 1,000 of them will sell, the other ones will sit for a bit. And now it's like we did 2,000 orange, 2,000 blue, 2,000 red, 2,000, and like just goes on and on and on and on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's cool, for the store and for business and everything, but like at the same time, it takes away from the like exclusiveness, I guess, to it in a way. Like it doesn't seem as personal in some cases. It kind of feels more like corporate.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I get it though too at the same time. It's like gotta pay the bills, you
Yeah,
know.
I understand, and like I would I guess I would rather have more records to sell than less records to sell.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
there are instances where I've seen like, okay, we did 1,000 of these, it's never to be redone again. And then like you're like, oh shit, I gotta get that now, and then you get it. And then a year and a half down the road they redo it in a different color or they change the cover or something and you're like, well, I thought you weren't supposed to be doing this again.
It must feel kind of cheated in
Yeah,
a way.
like you're like, well, you just used kind of a marketing tactic to pull me in, and it worked. So I'm like,
Right?
damn
Yeah.
you. Um, but it happens. But I'll definitely check out
The fucked up thing is, you know how many times we fall for it, and then
every time.
and then they're like, "All right, dude, not
Yep.
gonna do." Oh shit,
I'm right
dude.
there with you.
But what the
I
fuck?
mean,
What if it's the one time they actually
Where they don't do
yeah,
it.
you know.
And there's just some guy up there rubbing
Uh-huh.
his dollars together, like,
Yep.
you fucking idiots.
Yep.
Got you again.
Fuck.
have you heard the band Goblin before?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
totally.
Yeah, they just came to our theater and did this whole performance and played the film Demons on the
Oh, that is
screen.
fucking sick, dude. Really?
It was
They came to the
incredible,
theater?
man. So I met Claudio Simonetti, and they were selling a Demon soundtrack, and on the thing, it's like only 666 copies.
So sick.
So I bought one, but I'm like, I guarantee you, like 2 months from now, they'll just drop it like a different color,
Yeah.
That happens a lot with like record store day and stuff now. It used to be all exclusive.
Is there
and
footage of that show that you were just talking about?
Yeah, I think not on our end, but if you follow Goblin or Claudio Simonetti on Instagram, he just posted like a Grand Rapids story and video.
Oh, I'm gonna check that shit out. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, of course.
One question that we ask everybody. I don't know if you've listened to any of the episodes that we have out, but we always ask people, just because Jeremy and I are both pretty diverse in music and listen to all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
What is something that you listen to that people wouldn't expect you to listen to?
Brenda Lee.
Damn, that is
Perfect.
why we asked this question, because I would have never guessed that.
Brenda Lee is one of my favorite musicians.
That's
Fucking
awesome.
adore her.
That's crazy because we have like a bajillion of her albums, and nobody
Oh, man.
ever buys them.
I'll come buy every single one.
I have some real crispy Brenda Lee 45.
Yeah, her 45s especially. I come across them all the time. Next time you're in town, stop in, and I'll hook you up with a
Fucking
fat
box
stack of
load.
Brenda Lee for free.
Oh man, yeah, I love her. My film that I did recently, Fuck You, Steve, the opening has one of her tracks, and I kind of fell in love with her because I was like driving around town one day and it came on the radio, and I was just kind of feeling blue and shit, and it hit me, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
So I
dude.
just got really into her. My grandmother loved her when I was growing up.
Yeah,
So-
mine did too.
Yeah.
Her and like Loretta Lynn and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, Patsy Cline, all those
Yeah.
women of country were just incredible.
And they wrote great songs too. I mean, that stuff was incredibly controversial for their time, and coming
Yeah.
from women.
Yes.
Because
A
at
lot of
that time
outlaws.
it was very like women need to be in the kitchen or whatever people thought back then.
Right.
And like they
I
were
still think that.
they were rebelling against that, and it was fucking cool. Like I really like Fist City and all that stuff like that Loretta Lynn did. She broke a lot of boundaries down.
I couldn't agree more. Love it.
But all right, man. Do you want to go ahead and plug your social media and stuff for the listeners?
Yeah, sure. I mean, all I have is pretty much Instagram. It's just Chapel of Ghouls, and the of is spelled with a 0. So that's where you're gonna see most of my stuff. I'm really bad at being an artist and like having a website and selling my stuff. I get that question a lot, but if you ever, just go to my Instagram page, see all my paintings there.
Yeah, Instagram seems to be the best route for all that. Like, we tried making a Facebook for the podcast, and it was like, there's like 20 people following it, and I'm like, this is just, it's weird because for like the record store, the Facebook is jumping, and the Instagram is kind of like, whatever.
Sure.
And then like the podcast is completely reversed. It's like Instagram is like kind of like made for creatives in a way.
Yeah, completely agree. It's weird. Social media is a strange thing. I don't really know where it's gonna go in the next, few years, but
I think
It's nice.
eventually it'll fall
Um,
apart, to be honest.
I think it's going to
because
as well.
so many people like people in our like age group kind of grew up with it, and then we're just used to it. But
Yeah.
like people like my kid just turned 13, and like he doesn't really use a whole lot of it. Like he has TikTok and kind of scrolls through like videos because he's really big into boxing, so he'll watch like boxing videos.
Sure.
But as far as like Instagrams and Facebooks go and stuff like that, like he's just like, I don't care. I don't really want any of that stuff.
Yeah,
And I'm
my
like,
kid doesn't
fucking
fuck
good
with
for
that
you,
shit
dude.
either.
I think it's going to go back in a different direction to like when we were kids at some point. We were just like, people are just done with it, Like you go on there and it's just filled with so much bullshit and people wanting to be like these influencers. And it's like,
Yeah, everybody wants to be like the next Paris Hilton or whatever.
yeah, it's a shame, Enjoy being outside, get off your phone.
Yeah,
I have another question
it's a necessary tool for
Related.
business with
Yeah.
things.
related to music and Nick. If
Yeah.
and I'm gonna ask you this question, and I don't mean it to be hard, but if you could choose a song to describe you, what would it be? Like, what could we play on this
Oh, that's a good
episode?
song. Or
That's
a
a
good
really good
question, I
question.
mean. Good song.
But I don't like think too hard.
I gotta think about this for a couple seconds here.
Oh,
or a minute or two.
Yeah, do your
Yeah,
thing.
go ahead. That's why we have editing.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. My favorite band of all time, probably overrated for a lot of people, is Nirvana.
Okay.
Kurt Cobain was like the biggest influence on me. He has this quote that I live by, and it's like, wanting to be someone else is a waste of who you are. And I've always resonated with that. And I will probably say there's a song called I Hate Myself and I Want to Die. And that song I love because it was like this whole like that was the word. He wasn't serious when he wrote it, and the title is so in your face. And I feel like that a lot of the times where I have these days, of depression and anxiety, hypochondria, and a lot of self-doubt. I look myself in the mirror and I'm like just fucking grossed out with what I see. And it's like I hate myself and I want to die. But it's like this mockery of it because I really don't, it's the feelings that I have is what I hate. I love
Right,
myself,
right.
you
No, I
know.
feel that.
So I would go with Nirvana. I hate myself and I want to die.
Gotcha. It's on.
That was a good question.
I'll have to remember that.
I'm gonna wait for somebody to have some ridiculous answer, like "Flock of Seagulls, I Run" or something.
Oh my God, yes.
I want to use the Horses song.
Horses,
Buffalo
the Patti
Bill.
Smith song. Oh,
Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill.
I think
Oh
it's
yeah, dude.
something
Goodbye
like
horses.
Q Lazarus, I believe, is the fucking artist.
Yes, definitely.
I
Such a
tried to
great
find
song.
a single of that a long time ago, 12-inch single. Fucking
that's
ridiculous. Like
incredible.
$400, dude. And that was
Jesus.
like 10 years ago, so I don't even know now.
It might be way down now.
Oh, yeah, maybe they
or
repopped it
yeah, it might
600
be.
times.
Yeah,
I should look into
it
that
depends.
after.
Because I've seen some of that stuff that years ago was hundreds of dollars, and now you're like,
Yeah.
this is $4.
That'd be crazy.
Damn.
Do the tuck and everything.
But all right, man. So I know you just got out of work and you probably want to unwind and do your thing. So one, thank you a bunch for taking the time to jump on, talk about yourself, talk about your art.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It's really nice talking to you guys. It's been a long time. So
Yeah,
I
dude, you've been
think
gone
I'm
a
gonna be in
minute.
Alpena for Thanksgiving, so I'll definitely hop in the record store.
Right
Yeah,
on,
for
right
sure.
on.
Sorry, like last time I seen you, I was in a hurry. I had to like run and grab my kid from down the road. So when I seen you here, it was like a couple months ago now. I was like, hi, bye type of thing. So
No, it's all good, man. Totally get it. So, but yeah, I'll definitely when this podcast is wrapped up, send me a link. I'll promote it.
yeah, I'll be making up some like little promo artwork and stuff, and I'll be in touch with you on Instagram about it over the next few days.
Sounds good. Thanks again for the opportunity, guys.
Yeah, thank
Hey, it was
you,
nice
man.
talking to you,
Have a
dude.
good night.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Peace.
Peace.